believe me, just watch. Don't believe me, just watch.
We're back on the Morning Brew with friends with Sonny here. This is great, Sonny Christopher. You're the project manager for Up to Us.
Actually, I'm not the project manager.
Oh, that's what the notes say.
One of the co-managers.
One of the co-managers. Excellent. But you guys are talking about something that I hadn't really heard much about in quite a while. It is the national debt.
Yes.
And I was giving you some of the hard questions a minute ago about all of this. Why is the national debt a thing now that we got to be paying attention to?
First of all, the campaign is about raising awareness and
The Up to Us campaign.
Yes, the Up to Us campaign, and that's being spearheaded by the International Business Students Global, which is a student organization and with the University of New Mexico. And
you are one of those students.
Yes, I'm one of those students, one of those fortunate students. What we're trying to do is create a dialogue, fundamentally, in a different dimension about the national debt. One of the reasons it's not being talked about is because it is very, very far removed in this intellectual proximity zone.
Well, I can't imagine 17 trillion anything.
Right,
Like
exactly.
my brain is not built to imagine anything
And
that
so
big.
what happens when people have that desensitization, they don't think about it. They don't see that it affects them.
Right.
And they go on with their daily lives. And so this kind of like inheritance of this national debt now that millennials are taking on, it's our ability to contend with it will depend on our understanding of it and our fundamental viewpoint.
Well, what happened? Like, I mean, it seemed like not too long ago we were bringing the debt down. It wasn't a big thing. It was nothing to worry about. And then what happened between, the late 90s and today that gave us the $17 trillion debt?
Right. So I can't speak to it from a political perspective because the university has to stay neutral on it. What we can do, and what we're definitely trying to do, is get millennials to start thinking critically about the national debt, understanding multiple dimensions about how it affects them, how it affects their ability to pay off their student loans, to get a job, how it affects public policy in terms of our ability to prioritize social programs or national defense, things like that. And so we can't speak to causes necessarily. What we want to focus on is how we are going to become good stewards of the national debt.
Have you done the math on what that means? Like $17 trillion is how much per person?
The campaign, one of the things we've contended with was how do you give a mental picture of the national debt?
How do you humanize that?
How do you humanize it? And we went over so many different ways of, okay, so you can go to the moon and back this many times if you stack up $100 bills.
I still can't imagine going to the moon.
And it just, it doesn't, and
the numbers are so big.
The numbers are so big, it doesn't add up on the aggregate scale in a humanizing way. So the conclusion we came to was you have to speak about it on a fundamental level. And what that means is communicating that the national debt is also one part your responsibility and your actions fundamentally and your guiding principles in terms of how you act as a producer and consumer in the economy is how you will contribute to its mitigation or its exacerbation.
So in this case, then, how can I help? I mean, what do I do then? Like, it's not like I'm causing sequestration. It's not like I'm buying a $100 billion fighter jet. Like, what do I do?
You don't have a fleet of Hummers.
No,
right?
So I wish.
Exactly. Well, and that may be one of the things as well. Because of this kind of overarching desire for modernization, more this, more that, we kind of lose sight of one of the more unique opportunities we have, which is the opportunity to innovate within the context of our limited resources. So when you think about sustainability as a guiding principle, it sounds real like, sustainability, that's great. I don't want to drive a Prius. That's the false dichotomy that we want to get students to think about. And think about what does that actually mean? Does that actually put you in a position, does the desire for sustainable consumption and production patterns means that everybody has to drive a Prius, or that you have to have a standardization of rules and things like that. And what it doesn't mean is that there has to be this kind of cookie cutter answer and approach. What it means is on an individual level, each person has to kind of have a more conscious understanding, and then from there, more sustainable decisions and more fundamentally sound consumption and production patterns on an individual level will resonate outwards.
And we do have some photos from one of the events that you guys did at UNM recently.
Yes.
And this is great. And there's going to be another big event to explain a lot of this stuff coming up, right?
So starting February, in the first week of February, February 4th to the 19th, we're having a speaker series, three different speakers. And what we're doing is we're not speaking on the national debt from the classical, conventional economic perspective. We're speaking to it almost from a philosophical perspective. And the reason for that is because of that unhumanized dimension that we spoke about.
Right.
We want to give people a critical dimension and something that is malleable for them.
Something we can get as regular Joes.
Right. Well, not even as regular Joes. It's beyond that. It's something that everybody needs to be able to understand that affects them, and that they also have the capacity to shape insofar as their participation.
Excellent. We'll be back in a couple of seconds on the Morning Brew. I'm going to do the deep dive into some of this stuff. It's called itsuptous.org, and learn all about the national debt there and how it affects us on the Morning Brew with Friends.